So, if you're joining us for the first time, this is us, the AI for IAs. What does that mean, Stephen? This is a test.
This is AI, artificial intelligence, for independent artists.
And are you an independent artist?
I am independent artist for about 30 years of practice and looking forward to another 30.
Wow. And so you should. So you should. What have you been doing? I know that you've been away over the weekend and you haven't had any time to prepare anything for today, you slob.
Yeah. I've been touring The Boy and the Ball, theatre work for young audiences, to regional Victoria, to the Castlemaine State Festival, or Castlemaine State Festival, because there's no R in Castle,
Yeah.
according to. So it's a 40-year annual arts festival, which is really incredible. Like, they bring in shows from around Australia into this regional, very progressive town. So I've just come back from a tour of that and then getting ready for a 4-week US tour. But most importantly, I'm excited about next week because we're going to do a photo shoot for a new show called Icy Red.
Yay. Is
Yeah.
that icy as in ice land?
I see red. I see the color red.
All
I see
right.
red. Yes.
What's that all about? As if I don't know.
It's a show, a theatre show, again for young audiences, specifically preschoolers, and it's a show about fitting in and finding your place.
Oh, you've got it all down, haven't you? You know the words. You know how to sell it. And I know, Susan, you're very good at that as well. What have you been up to? I know you've just finished a season, and so what have you been up to?
Yeah,
And do you
so
see yourself as an independent artist, by the way?
um, yes, I do. I have a couple of hats that I'm wearing at the moment. One is that, I do have my own children's theatre company, and we did just premiere our new work. So I'm in the administrative point now of packaging up and making it sellable, I guess you would say, for presenters and venues as we embark on a tour next year. My other role is that I work for Flight Path Theatre and West Drama as their business manager. So that's a lot of administration work and producer work. And so where I am at the moment is, in terms of creatively, I'm writing a script for our next show to premiere in September. But administratively, I've got so much work to do in terms of packaging up, making the presenters pack, your marketing pack, your education packs, so that people will actually buy and see the work, and we'll be able to share and make the impact that we want. And I guess that's where AI comes in.
Yeah, you're a lightning rod creator. I did a podcast last week, The Common Creative, and we talked a little bit about the two types of creators, the lightning rods and the slow brews. And I sense that you're a bit of a lightning rod.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be a slow brew. And I'd love to have the time and space to be able to create slowly, but I feel a pressure, a societal pressure, if you would say, to be able to get work out there and make the impact that I want to make. And so therefore that drives me to become a lightning rod creator. Whereas internally, I think all of us would love the time and space to just be able to mull and work on our works, at the time and pace that we want. But for me,
Yeah.
without that marketing pull towards it, that and not having a deadline, I don't think I'd ever get there.
It's a business paradigm, isn't it? One's an arts paradigm and one's a business paradigm, and we sort of, in the arts industry, we juggle those two aspects. The notion of there's a bottom line to be served, there's a timeline to be served, and the arts world where you're serving the work with time, and you have to find the workable
Balance. Yeah,
outcome, the workable balance. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But I think as a business mind, you have a very sharp business mind and a lot of business experience. You have to work fast, and I think you've got a rhythm about you that has that sense of being a lightning rod.
yeah, 100%. I think, for me, the moment I come up with idea, there was a grant that's due like tomorrow
Yeah,
that you're eligible for. And so when those things happen, you just have to make things happen.
yeah, yeah. Bianca, what are you? Are you a lightning rod or you're a slow brewer?
Oh, maybe there's a mix, but maybe it's false because I've got a notebook of, particularly in my visual arts worlds, like sculptures and things and experiences that you go into. They're rare, but I think that's due to circumstance more than not wanting to act on them in a quicker fashion. It's they're my projects, so they go on the back burner, so they are slower.
When you say they're my projects, as opposed to?
As opposed to where I'm a creative collaborator in a larger project, typically theatre or something similar.
If you had all the money in the world, what would you choose to be?
I would lock myself in the studio and create work until the point that I got that feeling, because I enjoy that time alone and deep thinking and creating, but I know that I at least need some portion that is in that communal collaborative process. So I think that I would lock down and do that, but in reality there'd be a point where I'd be like opening the doors going, where is everybody, and I'm ready to have that time. So I think it's a mix. I think it's just about overall changing the percentage mix that I have now in creating my own work.
I'm very much like you. I love being alone and thinking about things, but I also really, if I do too much of that, I really need to get out on the floor, and that's what the joy of working with Stephen is, just going out and playing, once a fortnight for a full day on the floor, making and playing and seeing something come together. It's the collaboration aspect is important. Bianca, I don't think I asked you what you were doing.
At the moment, I've been working on a show that I have in July, so the design phase 2, so all those sort of models and CAD drawings and costume drawings, but also we're taking a pilot of a project we're developing for DreamBIG 2027, May 2027. So we're taking that to Corinda Area School this week, and then we have we're in Hackham School next week, so we're doing some tests. It's very, very early days, and these two projects within DreamBIG, one is toured out to schools as part of the program of extending reach, and one is held on site at the festival centre and has 200-ish kids at a time rotate through the session. They're quite different projects, but they're both in development at the moment.
That sounds exciting. Are you excited by? Well, that you're going to say yes anyway, aren't you? Of course you're excited. That's a stupid question.
Yeah.
So this is AI for independent artists, and we've each been, so we're 6 weeks in. We've been doing this for 6 weeks, and we sort of promised ourselves that we would just delve into specifically Claude AI, just because there are so many versions of AI out there, and really they do pretty much the same things. There are some aspects of AI that you need to call upon, image generation and stuff like that outside of Claude, but Claude can meet most of our needs, I think. I guess that's one of the things we're testing. So I'd really like to see where we're at. And I know that we're doing the same things, but in different ways. And so maybe I just want to remind everybody about one thing that I had no idea about, and I don't think we did either, and it makes me think differently about LLMs. This idea that from one conversation to the next, Claude, in our case, doesn't know anything unless you set Claude up to know stuff. So if I go out of an AI session, an AI chat thread, and tomorrow I pick up again, Claude knows nothing about that conversation, and yet it sometimes feels as though they do. And so there are 3 layers that I really think we should keep on talking about or reiterating for those of you who are starting out on this journey. And the 3 layers are these. Your profile, that's what you put in when you sign into Claude. And it can be extensive. You can tell Claude how you want Claude to see you and to treat you. So Claude can be really sycophantic. It can really sort of praise everything you do and make you think like you're the most amazing creator on earth. You can tell Claude, I don't want your praise, I want your critical appraisal. I want you to be a thinking partner. I want you to challenge me. So that profile is pretty important because it comes up in every time you re-engage with Claude. It goes to your profile first. On the way, this is the part number 2. The auto memories are the things that make you think that Claude knows you, but it knows you no better than the barista down the road who's just picked up little bits and pieces and throws those little bits and pieces back to you. Like if your barista knows you've got a dog called Rudy, the barista might say, "Oh, how's Rudy today?" And you feel as though he's or she knows you well. But really, it's a trick. So those auto memories, and you can check out, what auto memories Claude has captured of you, just picked up in each conversation and changes from one conversation to the next. And then the third level is a really important level. This is your dossier. This is what you actually put in to have Claude understand all as many aspects of you and your creative life and your life in general as you want Claude to know. And it can be very, very expansive, and that's where the personalization takes place. So we're just reminding you of those 3 layers, and that we're going to be referring to them today because we're looking particularly at the dossier. And so we're going back to Susan.
Yeah, this was an interesting step. Actually, I made lots of leaps just in the last week, really. So I've been using the Claude free plan, but only last week did I feel inspired to move into the Claude Pro Claude Pro plan, and I'll tell you why in a second. But when we're talking about the dossier, I used to just call it a master profile, and what this is just a document about who you are, what you do, and how Claude should work with you. And I've actually now gone on to build 3 master documents. So before creating this, I was a big ChatGPT user, and I'd been using it for the past year. And so ChatGPT knew a lot about me, and I struggled with Claude knowing things about me. And every time I'd open up a Claude conversation, like Dave said, it wouldn't remember things about me because it starts fresh from every conversation. So what I started to do was went to, off Dave's advice, I built a master profile. And so what this means is it's a living document that I keep in Google Drive that Claude can refer to every time. So I went to ChatGPT and said, I'm going to build a master profile for Claude. Take everything you know about me and help me build out this master profile. I also went to Claude at the same time and said, I want to build you a master profile document so that you know everything about me. What questions should I be asking ChatGPT? And so Claude gave me questions to ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT gave me back some answers. I then worked in that document to help improve it, to give Claude all the information about me. And so what you can see up there is a slide that Claude then helped me create to say, I'm going to help others create this same master profile. What should they have in it? And when we look at it, it comes down to these 6 things. It firstly is, who are you? So I identified my missions, my values, my goals, what are the areas I'm working in. So then we looked at my professional roles. I'm working across my children's theatre business, but also across other businesses. And so we broke that down and how many hours I'm spending in each of those businesses and what are my roles and goals in those. The complete strategic context in terms of what I'm trying to achieve long term. And this is for me, my personal career goals. And then what are the tensions and what's stopping me from achieving all of those. Then we looked at decision filter. So everything that I evaluate in terms of what opportunities come across, what grants come across, how they align with my goals and what I want to achieve. Then we looked at how Claude should support me specifically. So I asked Claude to be my strategic advisor, a creative writing partner, creative sounding board. And like Dave said, you can be quite specific in telling it how you want it to respond. So for me, it's things like, when I'm writing creatively, don't summarize that into bullet points, keep my nuances, and help me improve on that. And then I also have a section that I update regularly. It's called my current projects. And so I sort of outline my 12-month goals, and then my 3 to 6 month goals and what I'm currently working on this month. And then every time that I go into a new Claude conversation, and this is why I moved to Claude Pro, I now have it linked to my Google Drive, where it just automatically reads this live document that I have stored. And so the one step further that I've done from there is I've got a master profile, which is for me personally, but then I've also built out a business profile for Shiny Heart Productions, my own theatre company, and the goals there. And then I've built out a professional profile for the businesses that I'm also serving. And so within context, every time I'm working on a different business, Claude isn't just pulling information from everywhere. It's pulling only what's useful to that specific task that I'm working with for Claude. So for me, the shift has been huge in terms of the collaboration that I'm now getting with Claude.
That's amazing. So how long did that take? You've done all that in a week. So how useful was Claude in the process of pulling all that together?
Very useful. I'd say, I work on and off with it, but it took me if you were to add up all the hours, I would say it took me a whole day to build a cohesive pack that I was really happy with to move forward with. And so now, when I start a conversation today, I'm not making any further changes. I'm saying just refer to that master profile. And now let's work on this task today. And the end goal was it's not having a smarter tool, but it's having a better thinking partner.
Yeah. And are you adding to the dossier, and is Claude updating the dossier in relation to the conversations and the additional material you're adding day by day?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I remember you saying that, I was either last week or the week before, that you had Claude directly update your dossier. And so perhaps I haven't worked out how to do that yet, because right now Claude it reads my documents, but it's not able to update it. So it can update it in the sense that it rebuilds it, but I still have to grab that and then resave it into Google Drive. And I think that's a limitation that I have not yet connected co-work, which would be my next step.
Great. Yes, co-work certainly helps with that. It's interesting that I put my For Claude folder on a drive, an external drive, and it won't connect. We've tried all sorts of things, but it won't connect to that external drive. It has to be actually on my computer. And so it's interesting. I think Google Drive Google has a relationship with Anthropic such that they can connect directly to Google Drive. So that's interesting to hear that you've done that, because it's nice to have it on a drive separate from your computer, I think.
Yeah, the great thing about having it on a Google Drive is that now Claude's able to read my drive and also read my emails. And so if I needed help in pulling up information from emails, like if I'm working on a festival and I'm working with different suppliers, I can say, go through my emails and give me a list of all the suppliers I'm working with, and let's build up a festival plan. And so it takes that from my business plan, but it also takes information from my emails to help me formulate a plan for the festival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's astounding, isn't it? It certainly does support that notion that as independent artists, we can get rid of a lot of the busy work in time and give more time to our creative endeavours. I suppose the trap is not finding more busy work to do, not to expand the busy work, to stay focused on the creative work that we're doing and to find ways to additionally help support that. Because the lure is that you could, because say grant application writing is easier, that you write a dozen more grants than you normally would, and I don't know that that's a particularly useful thing for a creator to be doing. Thanks. That was wonderful. Thanks for taking us. You do have a second slide here. Do you want to chat through that?
Yeah, well, I think that really just reiterates your, in terms of the way that Claude memorizes or knows you. And so where it's got here is one side is, as most beginners do, every time you start a new chat, you're re-explaining every time and you're getting generic responses. Whereas when you go to the approach of building out the dossier or a master profile, every time you're sharing with it, it doesn't start from scratch. It's really starting from a place where it knows what you're trying to achieve, where you're currently at in terms of your, what restrictions you have and what you can and can't do. And so it gives you answers that are really geared towards your specific situation, which is what I like. And it's coming back to having that genuine thinking partner and collaborator, not just an assistant.
Yeah. Yes, it's so much more powerful, isn't it? Let's go to Bianca. Whereabouts are you here, Bianca?
Look, I'll be honest, and I didn't do my homework until this morning. So you have the evidence of what 2 hours can do for you.
And that's good, because, you're busy doing your creative work. And so explain that dilemma. Is there a dilemma there?
Well, there is, because I know that the effort is worth it, and yet I've got the pull of multiple deadlines just at the moment that keep me from sitting doing things. And I consider this really about me and my practice, so I kind of think that gets less priority than a deadline I've committed to for somebody else. But it is just a particularly busy little hump that I have at the moment with a few deadlines. But I knew I had this morning set aside, and I'd sent you a few shots as I went. And I feel like I got a really long way even in 2 hours. So I feel like the message is it's still approachable, and maybe I had been putting off because I was starting thinking about too much about how would I structure folders and where was I going to go to get information that isn't, readily on the internet. So maybe I was overthinking that, and I just needed to start. And those screenshots show how simply worded and kind of even vague my attempt was this morning.
Okay, so your first screenshot was this one. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
So take us through it.
I asked Claude to tell me how to best use co-work, and I gave it a very brief bit of information about me, about being organised and seeing things visually. I talked about having a varied career, and that I found it difficult to talk about the aspects of that, and how, along with my current career having a lot of variety, I actually have previous career as well. I mentioned that I wanted to have conversations with personas like a business manager, and there's a few others listed there, and that I wanted to set up a dossier so I could give Claude context, and it could be a good resource to pull from. And I just asked it, how do I start this? Can you access my Google account, and should this be approved? So it's quite, a naive set of questions in that.
And that's the great thing, isn't it? When you go to expertise or even to your peers and ask what you feel are stupid questions or even time-wasting questions, you feel you don't do it. Well, I don't. And yet with Claude, there's no sense of, I'm wasting somebody's time. I think that's quite refreshing, isn't it?
And that Claude will help you work it out. Like, I knew going in asking a question that was kind of vague like that Claude would help me come to the conclusion of what the question even is. So the response I got. Claude thinks co-work is a capable collaborator. It will have a long memory when I give it one. It can do certain tasks, and because in between here it was asking me a few questions about what I was really trying to do, and what we kind of identified was there's a bit of repositioning of my career and the way that I talk about that's happening. So it was really good at picking that up. And it acknowledged that taking some repeatable tasks off my plate would be a good idea. This is, it divided that response into 3 questions, that first one, this one, and then sort of got started on the dossier. But in the persona list, it kind of, this is Claude agreeing and supporting the types of personas that I was suggesting. However, it's made a really great suggestion here. When I said mentor, it's asked for it to be more specific and given me a really good idea here about a career narrative coach. Someone that can help me craft, practice, and refine and tell my story, which is really targeted at the pain point I have at the moment. And I thought that was really, really clever.
Yeah. Just talk about that for a bit, as a pain point, because I think a lot of artists feel that. So just explain that a little bit more.
There's two aspects to this. One is that I've had a previous set of careers before I decided to study and work in the arts, and I never know really how to incorporate those. So really, they're just absent. They're not referenced on my website. They're not a part of my CV. So all of that history in business development and data analytics, it's very useful, but it's just absent. The other part is that I work in theatre, usually as a designer and fabricator. When I work in film, I'm a props maker and fabricator. When I work in visual arts, I'm a sculptor. So I feel like there's lots of different versions of who I am and what I do. I'm also founder of a theatre company, and there's just different roles. And I love that pitch doesn't come naturally, and it's because there's such a broad scope to what I do, and I have to stop and go, who is asking me what's the best, most simplest response for that person, instead of being able to have a holistic one that rolls off the tongue.
Everybody is doing, in a sense, the same thing, personalizing their relationship with Claude, but everybody's going, the solutions are different. They're very, very different. I call mine the Dossier. You call yours, Susan, what?
Master profile.
The master profile. I've got aspects to my Dossier that's different to Susan's. Susan might want to borrow some of my stuff, and I might want to borrow some of Susan's stuff, and so on, which is the joy, I guess, of the collaborative nature of doing this together as a foursome, and whoever else is out there sharing it as well. I want to finish today with a little interview I did with Luku Kukuku, who's a delightful and a delightful person, but also a delightful and interesting artist. So here's 5 minutes with me chatting to Luku about, well, you'll see.
Something that you brought up in your ongoing series of AI for IAs about using Claude to summarize and gain an understanding of your creative career. Can you just quickly explain?
Really, it's for Claude to know me personally and in depth, such that it can be a thought partner, which is what you just described. I need to be able to have conversations any time of the day, non-judgmental, that challenge my thinking and that I can butt up against and that can throw stuff back at me. The sort of conversations I've enjoyed with you, these toing and froing. But you're not available. I can't contact you at 5 o'clock in the morning.
You can give it a try. You'd be surprised how often forces have made me be awake at that moment. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I what I'm finding is how rich it is and how convenient it is to have this, what I'm finding to be a super intelligent conversation with that is far more astute in many ways than I am, that I can butt up against and draw out, draw some outcomes that are idiosyncratically me, but that have come about through in a faster and probably richer and deeper way than I could have, often with months of discussion with other people. Different to being physically on the floor with people. I mean, that I'm just saying it's just a part of a world that isn't a be all and end all of everything by any means, because the richest experiences are when I'm on the floor with people and we're nutting things out together by playing, which is what you describe. But it is a playing partner. That's a playing partner that knows me well enough and deeply enough to be able to respond in a nuanced way and challenge my thinking.
Yeah, I think it's gotten substantially better at being able to provide that critical response.
Yeah.
I think in a default setting of being overly sycophantic and really wanting to, this is wonderful, great.
Yeah.
Calm it down a little bit, right? And I think I've seen Bianca talk about this on the podcast. Having it settle into a more critical mode is a really useful change that seems to have manifested in, as this technology has evolved.
And I think you've actually got to put that into the system. You have to say, I don't want you to tell me how wonderful I am. I want you to challenge my thinking. And it follows that direction if that's how it sees you and how it sees the relationship.
But also, you were saying that you'd taken all of your previous documents and body of work, CVs, and put it into the machine. And so I gave this a go. And I've got to be honest, it was wildly helpful in pulling together that overview of what has felt to me as 20 years of chaos and unrelated hat swapping. I personally don't want to go and be the archivist for any of that. I want to just keep doing the process. But asking an AI system to sift through, categorize, build some databases, identify different jobs and through lines, that was a pretty attractive use case to me. And I don't think I would have, it could have been years and years more before I would have allowed myself the time to go and do that. And I don't think I would have had that kind of overall bird's eye view of what that actually is. So I think that was a fantastic provocation that
nice.
your podcasts made me go into, and I think it was a fantastic outcome for me to be able to see that all come together.
I definitely had a similar experience to Luku in that I had, even in this short amount of time, a really great summary of and through line of my entire career, including the pre-stuff that I'd never seen before, that I thought was actually so incredibly valuable for me to understand how to talk about it. And it's the answer of me that has been true the whole time, regardless of the career.
Yeah. Any other comments? Well, I think we're there. We're just a little over 30 minutes. It's been a great conversation. Thanks, everyone, and anybody that's out there that's watching on. Thanks for participating. Let us know what you're thinking. Subscribe to the channel. And if you are interested or want to add your voice to our conversations, then get in touch with us and we'll do a little Luku Cuckoo interview. I've been calling Luku Cuckoo, but it's actually Luku Cuckoo. So I'm sorry, Luku. Hey, we'd love you to check out our sevenworld.org in the process of making podcast. Available on all your favourite podcast platforms and from the website.
Listen if you dare until the story's done.